Today I'll be making a recipe from here.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Dan and Tab's Cookbook Reviews. This is a show where we talk about a cookbook and then we get into trying to make a recipe from that cookbook. The episode's going to be different each time, how we do it depending on the book. But today we do a book that is a brand name that is very well known for baking. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on with the review of Betty Crocker. Well, hello.
Hello, we're working with a Betty Crocker cookbook. Today I'll be making a recipe from here.
I chose Betty Crocker for this first experimental zero episode because it's a very common cookbook and it's one of those really great catch-all cookbooks that everybody should have on their shelf. Your grandma might have one, you might have one. This version contains a lot of instructional things from the basics of salads and omelets, and even suggestions beautifully illustrative of what to put on your ice cream. The recipes can be like the common things like the pot roast, the more things from the 80s like whatever the heck this is, and then even the more international foods, such as Indian things with chutney and stuff like that, as well as the wonderful things with grains. So let's get on with it.
I found soft, no-roll sugar cookies. I felt like I'm not a very experienced baker. I don't know what I'm doing, but I just followed the recipe, and it's very easy if you follow the recipe.
So it's pretty easy once you know how to do it.
Yeah, it's pretty easy once you know how to do it and you've done it a few times, and it's a hit at your work, Jan. Every time I bring it, people devour it. I bring it to my work, it's gone the next day. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it hard to keep a full set of measuring cups because they get lost so easily. So this is what I found, a half cup. So it says we're adding 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. So it says add 1 cup of the granulated sugar. Now I know from experience that the rest of the sugar will be used later on. The rest of the... Here. I added 1 cup of the powdered sugar, which I was running out of, but it was mostly a cup. Then I take 2 sticks of butter, real butter, not that margarine crap. I take 2 sticks of butter and I saute it in the microwave for 40 seconds. Dan, you taught me this. You remember? 40 seconds up. I go under here to my cluttered little cabinet and I go over here. I made chocolate chunk cookies last night, so I had to clean some utensils. Get my mixer ready. Okay, the butter goes in. I try to put this, well, actually, 1, there's 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 teaspoons. It makes about 5 or 6 dozen cookies to share with your friends or coworkers. All right, now I'm adding 2 eggs. So when you have something that's like, 2 sticks of butter, 2 cups of sugar, 2 eggs, it's like that that's going to make all the ingredients, the sugar, the powdered sugar, the butter, oil, milk, vanilla, and the eggs are in here. We're now going to cream the butter and the sugar and the rest of the ingredients together. So I mix all those ingredients together, the first portion. So now we're going to mix in the dry ingredients. Like I said, this recipe has over 4 cups of flour.
That's a lot of flour. You can start a garden.
Okay, I just randomly found this half a cup. So I'm going to use it for my 4 cups of my 4 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I like to keep my ingredients in Tupperware.
Climb every mountain,
Cross every stream, far away. I like to mix the flour and the dry ingredients together because I feel like That way you can mix them and blend them well. Because if you don't, and you just put the dry ingredients in there, it doesn't mix it evenly. Baking soda, Dan? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cream of tartar. That works as well. Can I get the baking soda? Mm-hmm. And I'm spilling it all over myself. A full teaspoon of salt because...
So you're pretty salty today.
Salty and fresh.
Oh.
I'm going to take my ghetto-ass blender that comes apart. And I'm going to mix this flour, this baking soda, this salt, and whatever else is in it, the cream of tartar.
It's coming off.
Dry goods, please. Whoosh! That was magical. I do it a little bit at a time. I don't know, I saw my mother-in-law do this. We made peanut butter cookies together, which you might see. I know all about cleanliness, but that kind of goes out the window a little bit when you're making cookies. This bowl is so huge and will not fit in my fridge. I have to put it in a smaller bowl. Right then. Let's rest one day. One way or another. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna get you next day or another.
Careful, that song's copyright.
Damn. I like with a purpose. I don't bake just to bake. I bake so people get to eat good food. I mean, you could bake just for fun. I don't know. I like to have a purpose in things. He's a good old fella. He's not escaping his mother this time. Yes, he is. He runs away.
Okay, in case you were wondering, we actually did make the cookies. We finished those a couple days later after the dough was in the fridge for a while. I would give Betty Crocker Cookbook about 5 stars out of 5 stars. It was a great book. If it was the only cookbook you had, it'd be amazing. And you wouldn't have to rely on Hamburger Helper. Hey, if you want to see more of this, whether you like it or not, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.